So AllStar JR is basically going through the same thing the other Detroit artist Rocaine went through years ago when he was shot in a fight that turned deadly with the other rapper Pablo Skywalker. And they arrested him and locked him up because he wouldn't tell them who shot him, but he did an interview saying he knew who shot him. And they would charge Rocaine. This is how the allegations that Rocaine was allegedly snitching came out, which the paperwork was never came out. But this is a great example of how bragging on social media can come back and bite you. And it's not just coming back to bite you about any retaliation from the N.B.A or the mob ties crew, but law enforcement. So, and bragging about the action of what he did to Ben 10 is not really the problem. But when you brag about that a crew is sending people to harm you and the feds are investigating that crew, that's a big deal. You know, the feds want to sit down and talk to you. This is how all the social media taunting can come back to hurt you in a major way, you know. So even though he is a victim, this is when they turn a victim into a suspect, where if you don't tell them, hey, you don't make this statement saying they did, the feds get so mad that they want to put charges on you. And some of the charges are usually obstruction of justice, making a false statement to officers, perjury, and if he's not going to say Ben 10 robbed him, possession of a weapon, and also it can be possession of a weapon with intent to harm. You know, it can be all the way up to a attempt murder, because there's no way that you can get on and rap, you know, songs like that one song he said, you keep sending flunkies at me and I'm going to keep on dropping them. Verses like that. And even though this is a lyric, but if this is a lyric about a real situation that happened, you know, you can't play the feds stupid. In the case of Rocaine, this was a state case, DPD, Detroit Police. Now with JR, this is a federal case. So we're going to see how this goes. And Motor City Mag, keep you all updated. So, and 9 times out of 10, this is how it's going to go at first. The feds are going to come get JR. They got him. They're going to ask him, do you want to speak? JR is going to say no. Talk to my lawyer. So at that day, they're going to subpoena JR. It might be a week later, you know what I mean? It might be a month later. But in that subpoena, they're going to have every evidence, every and anything that he said about Jay Prince, mob ties, and that he said about Ben 10. And they're going to sit JR down in that deposition. They're going to let him know anything anything you say can and will be used against you in court, you know. And they're going to swear him in. And in that deposition, they're going to ask JR, do you think mob ties or Jay Prince had anything to do with you getting robbed? The moment that JR says no, he can be charged with perjury. He can be charged with obstruction of justice. He can be charged with making a false statement to an officer. In that deposition, they're also going to ask him about Ben 10. Did Ben 10 rob you? If JR says no, then he definitely will be getting charged with possession of a weapon. And probably he could be charged with attempt murder. So I don't think the Ben 10 situation, he really can't deny that. That's clear cut. It's on camera. That's not snitching by saying, yes, that man robbed me. This is the reason why he's sitting in the hospital with 5 bullets in him. So that's really not snitching. But knowing JR, anything that they're trying to build a case on mob ties, he is not going to cooperate in any form of fashion. You know, he's not going to do it. He might not even speak on the Ben 10 situation because he has money for a lawyer. So in the end, they tell you to remain silent. Don't say anything. Everyone knows that. And JR is not a rookie. So he may just lawyer up, keep quiet, keep his lips sealed, and let the lawyer do the job. And that would be the best for JR, and he should be fine. You know, he should be fine. The worst thing you can do is make a statement, and now your lawyer has to clean up things, and you know, JR is not going to have any salt on his name and mess up his reputation due to these things. So if they want to turn a victim into a suspect and give him perjury charges and this charge and that charge, then JR will be sitting down fighting that charge, even all the way up to attempt murder. You know, JR is going to stay solid. In whatever case they are building on mob ties, they can continue to build that case without JR's statement. These things happen on video. So maybe they won't, be so hard on JR when they don't really need him due to it happening on video. And JR does have a good lawyer and is back home with his family. So Motor City Mag, until next time, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And sorry about the audio again. Peace.